So here we have the Dutch army using the Dutch so-called Dutch system, trying to fend off the dastardly Spanish trying to subjugate us. We're going to use the BelloLudi Pike rules, refreshments of course, and here's the Spanish army with the fearsome tercios, artillery, even more tercios, lots of tercios, and more cavalry. Hello, good evening, and welcome to the BelloLudi bunker. Tonight we're going to play and show to you how to play BelloLudi Pikes. It's set in the Renaissance time, 1500s to 1660s, something like that. And we're going to be playing, for us, very emotional battle, because it's the Dutch with the Dutch system against our Spanish overlords, and they're going to use the tercios. So, and it's all in this little book. So if you want one, get over to www.belloludi.nl and get yourself one. So as I rolled, I won the dice off for the initiative, so I'm gonna be the first one to move, and I want to move this battalion up to here, and it's very important that you clearly state where you want them to be. So and then we're going to see how many moves they can make in order to fulfill that order. So I'm going to roll the commander dice, and I have rolled a 2. And that means I can move my troops 2 times. And that means for my infantry, they can move 12 inches. So they haven't reached the point where I wanted them to be, but not too bad. And here's another for 12 inches, and these guys are moving into the bushes, so I need to subtract a little bit because they're passing a linear obstacle here, and they have to subtract 4, so they will move 8 inches, and they will not pass the linear obstacle, so they will remain here. And then the movement is done, and then we're going to go to the shooting phase. So as my artillery can't move actually, but it doesn't have a clear line of sight to the enemy because those guys are in the way. The turn went to my colleague, and he moved his cavalry forward, and he's now gonna shoot with his 2 artillery pieces. He measured the range, which was over 30 inches, so he's gonna throw 1 dice for each gun. And that's 1 hit. My pike unit has been hit, but it was one of those rules that all the shots were fired by this 1 gun, and that means now the unit is in disorder, so in the next turn they can't receive any orders. So this is the end of turn 1, and we see little movement as yet. There's 1 tercio who pushed forward, the other tercio in this battalion is lagging behind, and this side of the Spanish line is also holding back. Dutch are a little more enthusiastic. Cavalry brigade moved up. Every infantry battalion also moved up. Pitifully now exactly in the line of sight of much of the artillery, so that's going to be a problem later on. And there we have the pike unit, which was disordered. All right, end of turn 2, and we see here that the lancers have received a little bit of damage, and the infantry units here as well. So far, the Spanish haven't really moved except in the middle, where 1 tercio and some auxiliary forces are moved up and opened fire on the units there, taking some casualties as well. This one is still here. And there we have the cavalry. The Dutch cavalry just performed a caracole and managed to inflict 1 hit on the Spanish. And here the Dutch had been subject to artillery fire, and it was a hit, and they disordered that unit. So not too much movement yet, but end of turn 2. So here the Dutch made a charge, but didn't make it, and so they're in a really unfavorable position there with the harquebus cavalry and the artillery piece over there. They're gonna have a blast. Here in the center we got some more movement and shooting, but unfortunately the Dutch have very wet powder. Uh, the Spanish did fairly well, made some casualties, and here the Dutch managed to almost break this unit of lancers, but hey, where did the other cavalry go? Alright, they charged the artillery piece here and totally devastated it. So that's the end of turn 3. So in the center we're getting closer and closer together, exchanging fire, pike units now ready to move in order to dispose of the tertio. On this side, the cavalry that had dispatched the artillery has turned around. Not much difference here, and that tertio has started to march up the battlefield. That tertio is still in reserve, so basically he's doing all this with his one hand tied behind his back. And here something went very, very wrong for the Dutch cavalry. They charged, they lost the combat, tossers, and they retreated, and now 2 units out of 3 are shaken. That's the blue chit you see there, because they're over 4 casualties in the unit. And so now this brigade is broken, so in the next turn they'll have to pull back. So here you see what is left of the Dutch cavalry. Everything went wrong. The brigade was broken and it was intercepted by the Spanish light horse, and they totally massacred the Dutch cavalry, now posing a threat on the rear of the Dutch battalions, who, well, let's say it nicely, haven't done exactly what they were supposed to do. I mean, they charged here, but they didn't break the other unit. So here's the cavalry that broke the first artillery piece, and they are now threatening this musket unit. The pike unit had turned to face the cavalry, but they were now outrun, basically. And the lancers have retired a little bit. Very sensible, rallied some chits. So they're almost as good as gold. This tertio moved up a little bit. They are not in a hurry, and why should they? Because as it looks now, the Spanish are defeating the Dutch with, well, the use of half their army. It's easy going. This Dutch revolt won't go anywhere.